I'm currently working on multiple book projects. I have 3 that definitely are going to get released. So the one that I'm currently working on is my spiritual book, but it's actually what's coming after that that I'm more excited about. And that's kind of why I think that I keep maybe delaying the editing process, because my mind is always focused on other things too. So it's like if I was only focused on that, it would get released by now. But my mind is always everywhere else at the moment. So the one I'm really looking forward to delving into, and it'll probably be the final release of the 3, which is frustrating, but it's just the order in which I think they should come. Because it gives you a longer, it gives you a longer, because there's always something happening. And the other, so for instance, one's spiritual, the other one's going to be personal growth, which I've already done at this point 3 on personal growth. So effectively, two about personal trauma, life in general. One's spiritual, and then I've done 3 that are personal growth. See, there's another spiritual one, so there'll be 2 now. There'll be another one, personal growth, so there'll be 4. We've already got the 2 trauma ones. Then there'll be one, a brand new topic, society and politics. And that's the one I'm truly excited about talking about. Because I can go deeper than I can on the videos. I can articulate far superior because I can keep fine-tuning it. And then there'll be, if an idea comes to mind, I can include it. So when I talk off the cusp, and that's what I like doing. So there's always different ways of doing it. But I prefer just to talk naturally, just talk off the cusp. When I do my books, if another idea comes to mind, because sometimes I do that, I'll watch a video back and I'm like, I could have said that bit. And that's what you can do in a book. So in a book, you can mold and sculpt it, but you can also add to the content too. And there's so many topics I like to talk about in that sense. And I think it will genuinely open people's eyes, because I think too many people, they walk around blindfolded and just they look their social conditioning and their conditioning from world leaders. It influences their mindset, their logic. So they rationalize corruption as it's standard and normal. And there's so many variables to it. And it's like, I like to unravel all that. And for me, it's interesting. So what I think in general is, a lot of time we think to ourselves, when someone's going through maybe their hardships, when you really find out who's there for you, you know, and it does on that side of things. But I also think when someone has privilege, opportunity, so they have more than maybe the average person, or have more than some people. For me personally, I think that's when you get to see someone's true character. When you have the opportunity to lord over people, feel you're more important, you're more significant, you're a better quality of human being. That's how some people perceive themselves to be. That is when we get to see who you truly are. And sometimes it's quite dark, it's quite miserable, and it's quite horrible, you know. And I'm personally seeing that in society now. I often think it's mad how people rationalize something as normal. Like, I'm just going to start it before we even get into anything. I'm going to make the point. I've always hated the idea of illegal immigration, in the sense that I don't understand why people can't just be free to navigate nomadically around the world. I don't understand why we have to have borders, and why they have to have these set, robust rules that alienate people. And then we start to treat people like they're not even humans. And so where people get really angry about immigration, people coming in, I get really, my blood boils on the counter to that. Like, so when they get really angry, they get defensive. Believe me, I'm like a 5K too. And I get really, I'm going to try not to swear, when people look at others as less than humans. Effectively, as humans, we should care about humanity. It's in the freaking word. Humans, humanity. So we should respect one another. And we shouldn't be looking at anybody as though they're lower and we're higher than them. We're all on different sides of a journey. Some people struggle through trauma. There's various sort of pitfalls we have to go through in life. But I think determining someone's status or qualities based on the region they're born, so the country, their ethnicity, their race, religion, all these variables, sexuality, anything and everything, to label someone and consider them less than just because they're different, I think it's absolutely mental. In all honesty, I think it's absolutely disgusting. So when I see people try to not even explain it, they just justify it. The rationale, it never makes sense, because all I see is people who have been conditioned to believe that, and they can't get their head out their ass because they're born into privilege. And then they don't recognise they're born into privilege, because they still look at their own life and they go, well, I've got all these bills to pay, life's hard for me too. So they justify it through their own struggles. But yet they expect pity in some way towards them. when they're having no empathy for anyone else. So make it make sense. So your struggles are meaningful, even though most of it is superficial. It's not that deep. You know, you're asking for a superior quality of life than you got now, and you're not really happy with the current settings, and it's not fair. Whereas you got people who are literally desperate just to have a stable baseline. They just want the same opportunities as everyone else. And unfortunately, not everywhere around the world is safe. Not everywhere is governed fairly. So it's like, that's what I'm saying. People don't put themselves in other people's shoes. So I said that's that lack of empathy. But if any, like the people who are quick to judge others, I would love to know how they would feel in a similar situation to what the other people are trying to get away from. Because they wouldn't be able to cope, and they would want to do the exact same thing. But they'll always justify it with, well, that's not my problem. I wasn't born there. It's like, so you're very weak-minded, aren't you? Because it always has to be how you want it. You're lucky that your life was curated so perfectly that you don't have to worry about the rest of the world. I find that quite amazing. So they don't expect anyone else to worry about your little life, because it's like, clearly you're just the epicenter of the world and nothing else matters outside your bubble. Like I said, I just find it absolutely mental, because where they've been brainwashed to think it is normal to have this segregation and this warped mindset, when it affects them is when you'll see the outcries. Like, I've seen it myself, and I find it laughable. You get the same people who moan about immigration, so people coming into your country, especially even normal immigration. They don't like any immigration, let alone illegal. And yet, at some point or other, they'll start making posts, content, saying, I can't handle it here, I hate it here now, blah, blah, blah. Whatever reason they want to make an excuse for. I'm moving to Spain, or I'm going to try and move here, or I'm going here. Or they start complaining how complicated the visa process is to go abroad. And it's like, mate, it's the same problem other people are facing, isn't it? But now you're facing it. It's not fair. Find the hypocrisy in all of it. And that's what I do. I always laugh, because I always think these people, only when it happens to them does now it matter. And it's only significant. And then as soon as they get over their little obstacle, they won't care anymore about other people's plight. Again, when people are doing well for themselves or they have a different opportunity, they don't care about what someone else is going through. And for me, that shows all your character. It shows how cold and stone your heart is. You don't care about humanity. You only care about yourself. Well, that's a beautiful soul, isn't it? I save all the sarcasm, of course. So the world is set up for the rich and wealthy, the powerful, to have all opportunity, and those that are poor or considered less than to have nothing, to have all your rights stripped away from you. And you know, some people go, "Oh, that's not right. That's not right." You just see the exaggeration. It's not an exaggeration. Put it in context. See, I know all about this because I've looked into it myself. Because there was someone I was, let's say, romantically connected to, someone I liked. It didn't turn into a relationship, but either way, it's still complicated, and I had to look into the nuances that would be required if things advanced, if an opportunity. And this is how I know these little things. So you can go, anyone can go and do their fact checking and search it all up. And apparently, you know, it happens in other countries too. So a lot of people would then actually think it's hard to get visas and things in America, and it is. It is a complicated process. But what they probably don't realise is it seems to me, on the face of it, harder to get a work visa in the UK. So people, because if you're in the UK, you'd actually think it's all easy, blah, blah, blah. People can just do it this way, you can do it that way. It's not that easy, as people are finding out now. It's not easy to get a visa. There are certain requirements, even if you was to get married. And even if it's married to a citizen of a wealthy nation. Let's say it's an American. An American, you've met an American. Now you've got to think, what country do we live in? Do we go to America? Or do we go to UK? You'd think it's easy. They're both friendly countries to one another. You'd think that's easy deal. It's not an easy deal at all. and that's just an example. Think of it and then think of it on other countries that may be considered inferior and weaker. I've seen reports that if someone from Argentina just wants to come to the UK on holiday, just to visit, they have to go through a whole visa process that costs them a lot of money in their currency compared to ours. So it's really unaffordable. And that doesn't even guarantee the visa, and they don't get a refund through the application if it fails. And then there's all these other fees if you want to speed it up, because there's a chance that by the time they give you the visa, it's expired. It's a whole process. It's actually disgusting. And that's just from Argentina to the UK. So even to the UK, their criteria to enter the UK anyway is quite disgusting as well. So it's not all about like America's terrible the way they're behaving at the minute. UK can have that; it can be just as much as a pain in the ass as well. But for instance, it'll cost. I've been watching people get their like visas and relocating to the UK for that. I think it's like a 5-year period. I don't think it's 5 years in total. I think you do like 2.5 years, 3 years, and then you've got to extend it, and it can up to 5, and then. But I think they're extending it now to 10 years to get citizenships and stuff, really making it hard. And the real problem with that is it's really expensive. So, and again, there'll be some people who go, well, that's only right, that's only fair, blah, blah, blah. It's like, it's not really, though, is it? You're just talking from the propaganda that's been spewed through the media, the politicians. You're not thinking about like what it's like for someone. Put yourself in their shoes. Because you'll get people that are just on benefits their whole life, for instance. Then they'll complain that other people are not contributing to the NHS. And it's like, well, you didn't contribute anything to the NHS either, though. Don't sit on your high horse. Yeah, there's some people that have, but this isn't a case of that. It's like, be realistic. People just keep acting like, oh, that's all my tax money is paid for that. How much is your tax money really paid? Go for your freaking wage slip. I'm not saying it's fun to pay taxes. Go for your wage slip. Calculate how much you've actually paid in tax over the course of a year and so, and then think, how the hell has your tax gone towards paying something that's £100,000 or something? So your tax doesn't go that far, mate. Just behave. And that's the thing. Some people, they act like their money goes everywhere, and it's like, wow, you're rich. It's crazy. I don't want to digress too far, but on this topic, for an American to come to the UK, and let's say he's going to get married, you're doing everything absolutely the perfect way. This is the crazy thing, because you'd think that should be a no-brainer. Two people are in love, you're genuinely in love, you got married, you see a beautiful future together, but yet rules and governance dictate whether you can even be in union. Because if you're two different countries, neither of you may get like status in either country. See what, you can only spend certain months a year together because you've got to go on holiday. You can only spend time on holiday. That's literally the option available if you cannot get a visa to stay. And it's not that easy because the finance is involved. So, effectively, I think in the UK they recently changed it. I mean, you have to be earning £35,000 a year. Now, some people do earn £35,000 a year, but I would say the typical jobs that I've seen, again, you can say upskill, do that. It's not the point. It loses the point. And again, once someone has reached a threshold, they no longer care how hard it is for others because it's self-serving shit. You got to ask yourself, what's fair? That's all it comes down to. What is fair and reasonable? That's not fair and reasonable. You go on Indeed. Don't put in criteria. Don't put in where your field is if you've got skills. So if you do science and you do all these other things, you get a good wage, you do engineering, forget all that shit. Most people don't have all that. We're talking about like what the average person has to deal with. So just go on a job search website. Do not put in anything other than your location and then see what jobs come up and then calculate the annual wage. Because I'm personally seeing the annual wage roughly equates between, for the typical jobs that are on those sites, about 26 grand a year to about 30, go potentially 32. But for the most part, it's between 26 and 30. Now, I don't know what the statistical average UK wage is because they actually do it based on highest turnover than the lowest. But it doesn't even make sense. It's not an actual average. Yeah, it's crazy. But that's what I'm seeing. So how the hell is 26 grand a year to 30 grand a year equate to a 35 grand a year requirement for someone to be able to enter the country and be in union? It doesn't make sense to me. It's all absolute nonsense. So even the criteria has to match, which is the baseline's shit. It doesn't make sense. And you're seeing a lot of people, they're getting to the point where they can't be in union with their partners. You're literally going to have to leave your homeland to go to get in where they are. And that's hoping the criteria is less than this country. And again, people justify all they want, but it doesn't make sense. Why does someone have the power to dictate your life to such a degree? If you find someone you love, you should be able to live with them. It shouldn't be that deep. Now, forget that. By the time you do your application process, like let's say the American wants to come to the UK, by the time they're done the application process, they pay the NHS surcharge, which is a lot of money. Effectively, you're paying the NHS fee up front. So however long you intend to stay is what you're going to pay, and it's thousands, absolute thousands. It's an insane amount of money. And like I said, someone on benefits not paying anything. They're getting it contributed for them. So it's easy for people to say, yeah, they should be paying it. It's how much are you paying? And I can guarantee you, as even if you're working, you're not paying this money. You're not paying anywhere near what they're paying. Let's say you're paying about £70 a month in what is it called? National insurance. It might be more, of course. but not what they're paying. I think they're paying like £2,000 a year or something crazy. I can't remember exact numbers for just to have NHS. So they've got healthcare. I don't think people are paying £2,000 out of their wage packet every year for the national insurance. I guess you're on a really high wage, but no, that doesn't make sense. So I know it's been long-winded, but it's really important to educate people here. So you have to reach a threshold criteria for your annual wage, which doesn't match at all to the average person, and then you've got to find about £10,000 to cover all your application and visa costs to make it happen. And that's hoping you can even get approved. And how is that fair? How is that fair? How has the average person got £10,000? You could argue if you really want to do it, yeah, but you've just had a wedding. And I know some people then say, well, just have a crap wedding and do that, and I get that. But ask yourself what's fair. Stop trying to justify the rules and make it sound like this is reasonable. It's not reasonable at all. It shouldn't be that hard. It's like the way I can't help but think is the amount of people that would want to go from one country to the next, it'd probably work its way out anyway. If you made it a lot more easier and stop focusing so heavily on the money side and being greedy, it's like you'll probably find there's just a bunch of Americans that would like to come to the UK, so the UK would like to go to America, and it'll probably just be an even exchange by the end of its time. I know a lot of people, everywhere they piss someone is, they're always miserable. I see it all the time. People in the UK, why would you come here? People in certain towns. Like the place I live, everybody always thinks it's one of the worst places to live. And I live here, and I don't think it's that bad at all. So I don't know where they're seeing. Again, it's wherever you frequent is going to be your life, what you see, isn't it? So if you keep going to run down dodgy areas of a place, you're always going to think, oh, it's terrible. But then if you live a different life where you don't go to those places and you make better decisions, what you're seeing in your daily life is different to the average person then, isn't it? So when they say this is a really horrible place, it's not what I've seen. I've seen some sketchy bits, yeah. I don't go there. I've seen some bits I like, I go there. So, and I don't think it's that bad, so I don't understand. So sometimes I just think it's a warped perspective. But like I said, when you get people who are being treated as like vermin, they're literally being treated like rats and stuff, It's like, how can you treat a human like that? And how can you justify it in any way? When you get what people consider illegal immigrants, I can't help but think, if someone's contributing to society in a positive way, so they're doing, they're not doing anything illegal in the sense of they don't do anything bad, they just go to work, they work hard at what they do, and they're a good they contribute well to the business or whatever they're doing. It's like, how is that a bad thing? I don't give a shit about documents. Like, who cares? It's nothing. It's like, how does it change your life? It makes no difference. It's that if the person is prepared to do the work and they're doing the work, and do you know what I mean? They're just contributing in a positive. Why do people have to look so down at them? And they get so like, they call it patriotism. It's not patriotic. It's literally someone like rejoicing really in their own opportunity because they were born with privilege, and it's usually just ingrained to them through generations of people telling them, yeah, we're better than them, we're better than them. But everyone come from migration somewhere. We're all migrants. Your ancestry, there's no way anybody's just pure blood of one country and it just goes the way through history. It's like, that's not going to happen. Everyone's blended with something. For instance, I didn't know this, and I'll talk about it now. I don't know too deep about it, but my natural father is white, just like I am. My mum's white. But apparently, I don't really know my natural father. When my mum went to meet his dad a long time ago, he is a black man, and he was a very dark black man apparently. Like, that shocked me because obviously I'm a white person. I didn't know, but I've never had racism in me anyway. So it was like, oh, that's interesting. You know what I mean? It doesn't affect me one way or another. But at the same time, it is almost like that. Just if anything, it just validates the fact that you don't know how far your bloodline goes. So you could have people who are racist, for instance, and it might turn out your ancestry took you. If you went far, just a few generations back, you may have been. Like, I don't know if they were just like you eat English, and it was like that's their color, and it's like from I don't know, but I don't know what region they're from. I don't know if they're naturally there from the UK, and it's just their ancestors started going further back. Who knows from where in the world that is? But the point is, you go far enough back, all of a sudden, you're not a native. So then at some point, your family generations were somewhere else. And if they didn't make the decisions they made, you wouldn't have the privilege you have today. And it's the same for the other people. They're trying to establish themselves. And you could say, oh, it's illegally documented and all that. Well, like we've just explained how hard it is to come legally. It's near impossible. So what do you say? Oh, I don't want to do anything bad, so I'm just going to try and do it. And now we're seeing where the ICE raids in America, they're doing it on purpose. It's all under Trump as well. He is a dictator, and too many people are just not seeing how much of a tyrant he is. He's trying to scare people. That's what he's trying to put fear into people. Trying to lock America down effectively. He wants to suppress the people. I wouldn't be surprised if he wants there to be an uprising, because then he can start putting the National Guard, and then he could just start instigating enact some new things as well. He's just a tyrant. That's all he is. But he just bumbles around to make it look like he has positive intentions. There was something else to say that, yeah. So people are actually trying to do it the documented way. They're literally going into courtrooms to try to finalize their applications and things to get the citizenships. And they're literally, while they're in court, they're in the way. I don't even know if they have the right to do it in the courtroom, but they're doing it in the court buildings. They're raiding the court buildings and getting the people before they can get citizenships. In fact, from my understanding, they're doing it to people who have citizenships. So that makes sense. Even the people who are actually doing everything the right way are getting deported. And it's making America incredibly unstable, because, like in America specifically in this situation. So it's like, who wants to go there when you don't even know if the life you're building is going to be stable? Imagine like building a life up, and you've invested so much time and even money, and then you just get deported and you have to leave everything behind. That's mental. And that's what's being established over in America. Some people justify it, but thankfully, some people are absolutely fuming and they're taken to the streets. Now, like I said, I'm looking forward to unraveling this in my mind as well, and like really putting it into the words of a book, and it'd be written for history. Then it'd be permanently set in stone, won't it? If people can agree or not agree, and that's for people to decide. But on this topic, I won't be silenced. I will share my version of what I consider fair, what I consider unjust, and how I think people have just been taken advantage of to the point where their mind has been brainwashed to think something's normal. And again, it's that social conditioning. And it's like I always find it mad that people just feel so privileged, and like they're better or something, or they're just it's not even patriotic. They always feel like they're more like genuine. It's like, because I see it at the time. I saw a video, and this guy was going mental on a bus or a train, or I think it was a train, and he was saying people like, "This is my country. This is my country." You could get like it'd be obviously racist. And I thought, what makes it your country? Your country. Like, it's in England, so it's just as much my country. I'm a native, but it's like I don't walk around going, "This is my country." It's like, how entitled are you, and how scared are you? Vulnerable, because they do it as appearing as confident and stuff and patriotic. They're not. They're just scared people. It's literally all they have to have some identity in this world, and they cling to it so powerful, so tight. It's crazy. It's like, heaven forbid someone else could like make a life for themselves in the same place as you, because maybe they'll thrive better than you're doing with your life. That's what it comes down to. It's an insecurity in people. It's crazy. But you just look and thinking, well, you're not really being a very good example right now. And some of these people just never leave the country anyway. So they just stay, and then they just become martyrs or something. They're just crazy people. But then it's like, you can't help but think the hypocrisy if they do go to another country, even on holiday. You've literally just told people, "Get out! This is my country. You should leave." Then what makes you think people shouldn't do that to you when you land in their country? But again, they'll just go, "Oh, yeah, I'm only here on holiday." It's like, yeah, you're always looking at it from your angle. You can't look at it from another angle, can you? You can never be. You always got to be the victim in everything. It's always like all about you, and it's like you have to get out of that box. Think about if you was placed on a different part of the world, how would you cope? What would your life be like? Then on the counter to that, think about what life is like for those people, and realize that we're all people. It's just think of us all as pins. We're all put in places, and some of us are just fortunate to have the opportunities we have. Even if life's not easy, no one's saying it's easy. It's sometimes not fair. Sometimes it's harder for other people as well, though. So when they're looking for opportunity and they're just trying to seek a place where they feel safe, it's like, why criticize them for that? On the base level, we all want to feel safe, surely. And if you're in a place where it isn't a safe environment, you're going to do what you can to get away from there, aren't you? And if the legal routes are not fair and almost impossible, because I've only shown an example of someone that wants to get married who are both of wealthy national countries. That's getting married, which you would think should be a simple process. Now think how hard the process must be if it's nothing to do with any of that. That's crazy. It's too hard. It doesn't make sense. Anyway, like I say, I'm not going to drag this video out. I don't even mean it to be this long, because I'm going to be doing it in the book. I've already done videos anyway. You see it under my, if you're interested in more, you'll see things under my Society and Politics playlist on YouTube. But like I said, there will be a book on this at some point because it's something that's really close to my heart. And I just think people need to stop being brainwashed. And I think sometimes we're going to have to talk on this thing. It's going to, in all honesty, I've got no doubt by the time I release this book, I think the book will piss off a lot of leaders around the world. In all honesty, that's what I think. But I don't care. So that's that. Let's just show some clips now because I want to show that it's like people are rising up. People are not happy now. There's people that are finally like just snapping because it's not right. They're making effectively in America. They're doing raids, but they're doing it like a military raid. They're trying to put fear into neighborhoods. That's effectively what they're doing. They're trying to make everybody feel uncomfortable, like you are not safe, so don't get comfortable. And even if you're a citizen, we will arrest you. We will come in and cause absolute mayhem in your town. It's like something out of a movie, you know. But this is life. So anyway, let's get the window up. That's the raids there. We could start with this one, actually. I was going to start with a different one. I've got a bit of other ones I could use, but I'm only going to use 3 videos. This is off a news broadcast on TikTok. It says, video shows residents pushing back as federal agents raided 2 restaurants in Minneapolis on Tuesday. Locals believed it was an immigration raid. So they were actually doing something else, although they say they're doing something else. But I've seen the police chiefs or the police speak up after, and the police have their hands tied behind their back because you've got federal agents, you've got the FBI, but you've also got these, I don't know what you call them. They call them ICE, but they're the ones that do like the immigration and things, so Homeland and all that. But apparently they all come in, and then the police are a lower serving, like protectors. It's just that they always have to be subservient to the federal agents, don't they? So it's not like the police actually agree with what's going on. And I saw one just speak out yesterday or today. It was on my For You page. He did a news thing, and he mentioned that this isn't right. You know, we're here to protect the citizens, the people. And when it escalated, they're the ones that actually told the agents they should believe him because it's not safe. But it's just you got this where people are not even people who are in charge or have like any sort of power. They're not always going to agree with the higher power. And it's unfortunate that they're stuck in this situation, you know. So anyway, this is them. This is the people really kicking up a fuss back.
As federal agents raided 2 restaurants in Minneapolis yesterday, armored vehicles blocked off streets as officials dressed in bulletproof vests, masks, and helmets stormed in. CBS News Minnesota reports the locals believed this was an immigration raid. Local officials, though, claim that the operation was actually about drugs and alleged money laundering. No arrests were made.
So they say money laundering and things. They do that, don't they? You can't trust them. They look like military people going to a foreign land. They're literally in their own homeland. It's crazy. It's like it's that deep that you have to try to arrest someone who's not documented, illegally documented. You couldn't just go in with normal officers and just go and ask for their documents just to make sure. Like if you're going to go down that route, surely you don't have to do it so heavy-handed. It's not like they're making a runner. It's like it's all for show, isn't it? It doesn't make sense. You can have plainclothes people with ID badges go up to them without making a scene, and you could do it. But apparently, what they're doing is arresting everybody in a whole area, and then they're trying to get everybody's documents. This is almost like Nazi, you know. That's how crazy it is. It's almost like everyone is a criminal until we figure out who you are. It's like wow, mad country right now, America. It's just not safe. I said that. I have no interest in being there because I consider it like a human rights violation. It's crazy. Look at this. It's like army on the streets sort of shit. You're only seeing this in democratic countries. Let's say European, because America is the equivalent of European. America really is the equivalent of Canada, Europe, and Australia. We all have very similar democracies and the ways of life. You don't see this shit in them countries. That's what you've got to do. You've got sometimes, as a realization, you have to consider what are they the equivalent of, and that's what they're the equivalent of. And look at how they behave to their citizens in the way. It's a really corrupt country.
You can touch her.
We have people here pushing the cops right here. And now they took them. Fuck you!
The double standards here drives me nuts. It's all right for the agents to push people, violate their integrity, even their personal space, their freedoms. They can literally push you and do whatever they want, and you're not expected to react. Because as soon as you do, now you have assaulted a federal agent. The double standards is crazy. And then they start dragging people away because they've done that, but yet they're pushing the people. It's unreal, isn't it? I said that. Trump thinks he's a king and he wants to be a king, and this is what he's doing. And these are little foot soldiers. It's no different to medieval times. This is the modern day, and people are not realizing it. It's like, open your mind. Now, there'll be people who don't agree with me, and I get it, because they're just brainwashed and they're shills. It's crazy to me. It's like, I keep thinking we shouldn't keep looking back to the past. We should be evolving and moving forward. So I think personally, culturally, we should all just be diverse. I think we should integrate. And I think from that, we can really expand and learn together. I think so much culture can blossom and like bloom by blending together. And I think it'll make an incredibly creative world. And instead, we keep doing this division and sort of alienating people. And it harps back to the medieval ages. It's just absolutely crazy to me. Even just food culture would be great. You know, you'd learn all these different the cuisines and things. And it's just like, oh, I wouldn't have thought to cook like that or do that. And there'd be such a blend. It'd be so diverse. I think it's great. I don't understand how someone's colour, the way they look, and all these things, and how the hell that makes them an inferior human being. And I think anyone that thinks otherwise is just insane, personally. And definitely not someone I could associate with, because there's certain levels. It's not about politics. It's about humanity. And I think when someone doesn't share a similar view on humanity as a whole, which is quite a profound thing to have an opinion on, I think personally, because it defines who we are. It actually defines humanity as a whole. If you don't have the similar view there, then it's not someone I can even respect, in all honesty. So you could have a great mind, you could be a really nice person in general and all those things, but if you can't, as a basic human being, care about other human beings, if you're that self-centered, it's like that's so far removed from who I am. I can't even respect you. So I couldn't even be friends at all. No way, because we're too different. You're too self-serving. It's like, wow, at your core, you're a horrible human being. On the outside, you look like you've got all these other nice traits, but overall, you're just very, very self-centered. So yeah.
We need your fucking protection from these guys. There's a bunch in your salary. Help us!
What's going on?
The cops won't fucking protect us from these fucking...
You see that? They're actually asking the police to be the barrier now. Protect us from these people. They've come and they're violating our community. They're violating our human rights. You're here to protect and serve, to do your job. Instead, the police find themselves in this grey area. They don't know what they can do because, of course, they can't infringe on the processes of a federal agent. It's an incredibly corrupt hierarchy.
An ICE raid has taken place here in Minneapolis. The cops, SWAT team, FBI, whoever's out here has completely taken over the streets, and people have taken to the streets. I don't even know what has happened. I was literally driving, filming a completely separate video, and then I got out of the car because they had taken over this whole entire block. And this is what's happening here on the streets. Here you have the police, right here you have the police right behind me, then you have the FBI, then you have a huge group, another group, then you have another group of law enforcement behind us, and then you have everybody chanting, our streets.
I'll get you a job. I'll get you a job, man. I can get you a job. I can get you a good paying job. I can get you a good paying job. Guns don't belong here. Put the gun down. I'll get you a job. You're fucking hired. Please, man. Yo, don't fucking touch her.
It's sad that people sell their souls, isn't it, for money and opportunity. Anything in the name of career progression. I'm going to stand here and protect this dictatorship against the people. Yeah, I couldn't do that. No. That's where integrity comes into it. That's sick. Anyway, my opinion.
Oh, shoot.
I don't know what just happened here. We have an ICE raid. Just broke loose here in Minnesota. What just happened?
They just pepperballed everything.
For what?
I don't fucking know. I don't want to talk to you. Because they're kids.
What just happened?
They just stole people. They just fucking kidnapped people and they drove away. They gave no warrants. They gave no badge numbers. They gave no names. They said, I don't have a name when we asked. And then they fucking threw someone on the ground and took him too. And then, in the midst of all that, they shot tear gas with us. We are in the worst AQI that I've seen in my lifetime in this city. And you know who the main contributor to climate change is? The fucking American military-industrial complex. And what do? They come out here, they have the audacity to kidnap our neighbors and then to shoot us with tear gas when we decline to consent. Fuck them.
So was that just an ICE raid that took place?
What'd you say?
Was that just an ICE raid that took place?
Yes.
How many people did they take?
I don't know. I saw one, and I think more were taken before I arrived, but I don't know.
Yeah, what is this?
Someone get that to the news.
Seriously. This is so fucked up.
Oh, shoot.
Anyway, people have formed their own opinions on what they think is reasonable, fair, and justified. And, you know, sometimes you can't convince anyone of anything. I think some people that are just born with privilege, unfortunately, it gets to their head and they think they're better than everyone else. And there's no changing that mindset at all. And they'll justify it in whatever way they want. Anyway, this is me talking about it just briefly because I was triggered, to be honest. And like I said, I'm more interested in really getting it written down and doing my books. For the most part, my book was really finished, the one, Society Politics. But like I said, I'm going to leave it as the last of the three because so much keeps happening. It just creates more paradigms of thought. So then it's like, wait a minute, that's something else I'm going to have to talk about. So I'm going to have to keep editing and fine-tuning and making this book fit and be concise enough. But for me, it's a passion project, and it's something that it will be of the three books. It has to be the last one because it makes sense for it to be the last one. So although me getting it done now and me releasing it in 2 or 3 months would probably be great timing, I don't want to miss anything. I want to give myself the creative capacity to delve deep into this and articulate it and say it in the way that I want it to be delivered, because then it's permanent. Yeah, it may be a one-off in that sense because it's not something I don't think I need to keep delving into and tapping into, but it might be that a lot of my books, I do one and then it creates a whole thought process and then it starts to evolve, and it might be there's more in a series. I don't know. Anyway, like I said, everybody form their own opinion and they justify it whatever way they want. But for me personally, I consider myself British because I'm British, but over the whole, above that and everything else, I consider myself human. So I have respect for humanity, and I can understand and appreciate the difficulties other people go through. And I think some people, they just can't get their head around the fact that we're all humans. You know, they just consider themselves the status of whatever country they come from, and it's like nothing goes beyond that. And it's like, wow, that's so unevolved. It's crazy. But yeah, people can, whatever morals they want to live by.